Hello viewers and welcome! Yes, I know last week I didn't post on Friday, a big deal. Anyway, now I'm back, technically. Well, I never left in the first place, so yeah. Starting in P3, this should be interesting to see how I'm gonna have to negotiate with the drivers in front in order to get the win. Or maybe not get the win. We'll see, cause it's a front wheel drive car and a hatchback, and I've never driven a hatchback front wheel drive car ever on Gran Turismo, so it's gonna be quite interesting to see. Cause this car basically behaves the opposite to what I usually drive, you know, a mid-rear engine, no, yeah, a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car, which is literally two polar opposites, and this car you have to wait on it a lot for the front to pick up and for you to go. And usually when driving a rear-wheel drive car, you know, it's quite literally the opposite. If you put too much throttle, it's gonna spin you around. So, as the cars line up, the clock starts ticking, it slides out, and away we go. Ducking immediately into the slipstream, not that much of a factor, but you know, this tiny bit of slipstreaming you can do can actually help, you know, gain you like tiny bits of fractions of SAM, and you know, the closer you get, the stronger the slipstream is, so it's compounding. So here's the thing, it's better to be in the slipstream than not in the slipstream, so why not? So that's why you can see everyone trying for the slipstream, even though it's not that big of a deal, but it does somewhat benefit you, and it does actually quite benefit you, more than most people would expect. Now, going into turn 2, I think, you know, a little bit of contact between me and driver, you know, punting him wide, I was a little deep on the brakes, or maybe he braked a bit too early. Now, you know, apologies, and he's back, or behind me, so that's an easy position. Skipping forward like a couple of laps, 4 to be exact, or 3 to be exact, you know, I got the penalty, and the same driver is right behind me. He overtakes from the inside, I throw it around the outside, the switch rule happens, and now I have the better acceleration into the inside, and now going into the next corner, which I will be on the outside of, and he can throw it on the inside, but never mind, because I switched to the inside and get the optimum position for his corner. Now he can pretty much do nothing about me, and he's gonna have to concede the position of P2, which he gained momentarily. Now I have a penalty that I'm gonna have to serve pretty much in like a couple seconds, so he's gonna take the position back, but you know, at least I managed to defend him a little bit, and you know, not gonna be that far back, so I will have somewhat of a slipstream to be able to catch up to him quite easily, because even though I'm faster than the drivers ahead, you need to be quite faster than them to finish the race and P2. And the thing is, I have only one lap, so I'm pretty much running out of time, so I don't have too much time to waste, and I'm pretty much jumping every opportunity I get, because yeah, there's not many overtaking opportunities here. Well, actually, never mind. But here we go into turn 1, going deep on the brakes. He hits me a little bit, and now I go off the road and overtake him illegally. But the funny part is, he hits me, and in the game system, if he hits you and you go off track, or if somebody makes contact with you and you go off track, usually you don't get a penalty. Now, this is to an extent the point, but sometimes it's not like that. Now, going back to my point, the Red Bull Ring is a track where you can actually overtake pretty much everywhere, especially in slower cars, you know, GT4 cars. If you're doing this in Formula 1 cars, you can also still throw it pretty much everywhere, but like I think turn 14. But it's a pretty solid track for overtaking opportunities, because it's pretty much everywhere. Straight, all corners, I'm pretty sure you can overtake on all corners if you're brave enough. Speaking about overtaking, he throws it down my inside again, switch through once again, same corner, but this time it's a little different. Now, snugly around the inside of him, I out-accelerate him bit by bit, but this time, I'm not gonna be that far ahead, and now he's gonna be able to concede or keep the inside line. But I have a trick up my sleeve. I'm actually quite faster than him on his corner, and I have ways of, you know, taking this corner differently. So, out of the exit, I'm pretty much quite well ahead, and I take it nice and easy around turn 8 now, 8 or 9, I'm not sure. And yeah, it's P2 for me. The driver up ahead is actually like 5 seconds ahead due to us fighting, so it's a nice P2 for me. It's not too much fighting, and yeah, I was a little dirty into turn 2, I mean, at the beginning of the race, but it is what it is sometimes. These accidents happen, especially on the brakings when you don't really know where anyone's gonna brake, and especially in like lower tier lobbies. I'm not in that low tier lobbies, but if you go in lower lobbies, I'm speaking like rank E or D, you pretty much know nowhere, like people brake everywhere, they brake everywhere. Now, into the next race. Starting in P1 again, for some reason I'm racing with people who are less driver rank, despite my driver ranking actually going up. My sportsmanship stayed completely the same, but the new updates can show you after every race if your sportsmanship or driver's ranking goes up or down, and in that race it went up, so it surprises me that I'm racing with lesser people or people with less driving rank, but the funny part is they are S sportsmanship, so I guess it equals out. That's how the game calculates it. this game can be very confusing with the systems and everything in place, you know, penalty system, ranking system, all that stuff. All games are like that. Anyway, as the cars line up, the clock starts to tick, it slides out and away we go. Starting up in front, I actually get better acceleration than the people behind because in a front wheel drive car you get a lot of front wheel slip, and what I do is I short shift in order to keep the car from wheel spinning. And I brake a little late and I go off track, getting me a 0.5 penalty. And it's gonna invite the drivers behind to overtake me later when I serve my penalty. Now, racing up the hill, the two drivers behind me have my slipstream and they're getting quite close together. You know, they're side by side and I have no idea what's gonna be like going into turn 2. And you can see one of the drivers really late on the brake, punts me wide. And I have to go off track and back on track, which will lose me which will lose me first position and maybe even third position. But no, I managed to come out just in front of the driver that hit me off the track, and now you got PC Racer up in front of me, which is funny thing. This game is a PlayStation exclusive, so I think you might have to change your name to PS Racer since you're driving here. And now going a little wide into turn 3, you know. My joke was a little corny, but you know, me being a little wide is more important, so I'm gonna have to talk about that, you know, racing stuff. Now, as we come up, these are, in my opinion, the two best corners of the Verstappen ring. But the thing is, in these front-wheel drive cars, it's actually quite tricky to take them, because in a rear-wheel drive car you can rotate while accelerating, but in these cars, the more you accelerate, the less you rotate, so it's quite tricky. And I managed to gain myself a 0.5 second penalty, which is gonna throw me closer to the not very nice Dutch driver. I guess he might be Verstappen after all. Now, after serving my penalty, going through one of the final corners, you know, Dutch driver, of course, again, punts me wide for the third time, I believe, and this recovering third time again. Interestingly, no penalties, or I do gain a penalty, I think, for going on the exit of the final corner, which I actually do make a lot, so probably there. But here's my point. This driver needs to be banned. Like, this is the third time, and you see, he even taps me again and I go wide again. So, I have no idea what this guy is doing, but you know, look, he's going wild, Now, that's a very interesting driver, one that I refuse to race with, so good thing I got away from him, you know, built a bit of a gap, 4-second gap to be exact. And now going through turn 3, going a little wide, or I don't know. You have, in this car actually, it's very interesting to drive, because you have to accelerate very specific ways since it's a front wheel drive car, and it's really unusual for me, so it's quite interesting. And now the thing is with these corners, these two corners, I mean 6 and 7, yeah, 6 and 7. You have to roto brake, but the issue is it's hard to roto brake in a front wheel drive car. At least I find it hard to roto brake in a front wheel drive car. Now, after I catch up to the driver and ready to lunge and overtake in the next corner, you know, I have to serve my penalty again. Unfortunately, you know, just grabbing my tears, wiping my tears. I'm gonna catch up to him actually very quickly because the final lap is about to start, and I'm actually on the final corner of the lap 4, and lap 5, final lap, starts now. So I have exactly 14 corners to catch up and overtake the driver's head. So let's see, counting. Turn 1, catching the driver up ahead, you know, very nicely, almost off the limit, gaining myself another penalty. Within 0.4, 0.3, 0.35 seconds of the driver ahead. That's interesting. Now, catching up in the slipstream bit by bit. You can see the slipstream is actually quite effective, not that effective. And now braking on the 100-meter marker. I punt the driver wide, accidentally happening, you know. So I don't accelerate too fast and make sure he comes out ahead to make sure I don't get the penalty. Or actually, I will not get the penalty, but to make sure it's nice and clean. Now, it's back to 0.7 or 0.6. And I'm gonna have to catch up to him again and overtake. Now, turn 3 now. Wait, is it this turn 3? Yeah, it's turn 3. Wait, it's 4. By the track's technical specifications, this is turn 4. So, turn 4, you can see me getting very close to the driver up ahead. Gained back everything I lost in that tiny incident, and now, launching it on the turn 5, make a tiny mistake. I bump him, tiny bump, and he goes wide, and we both almost go wide. But he goes wide, unfortunately. Really mad apologies for him. And yeah, he goes wide, and I do conceive the position, or take the position of P1, which will, not the best way to gain it, but at least a win is a win, you know what I'm saying? A win is a win. Obviously, these kinds of incidents happen all the time. It's not really anyone's to blame, it's this tiny contact that was not accounted for. We both lost a bit of grip there, because in these cars, you know, again, front wheel drive cars are just not my piece of cake. I find it hard to roto brake, I find it hard to accelerate out of corners just because it's the understeering nature of the car. So finishing in P1, I get a nice victory.